Hola YouTube! Thanks for joining me for my quick flute tip of the week. This week we're discussing low notes and high notes. So let's begin with low notes first. When you're playing low notes, you need to learn how to frown. Okay? You need to be relaxed and play just your low note. That's all it takes. Now for a lot of beginning students, I know the low notes aren't a big issue, but if they are for you, you want to think about on a cold day, for example, and say you want to blow warm air to warm up your hands. You blow slow warm air, and that will help get you your low notes. So if you try that, try thinking of slow warm air and frowning, and that should help you hopefully with your low notes. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of email messages lately about the high notes, so it seems like that's definitely the hardest for most of you out there. The most important thing about high notes is don't get frustrated, okay? We've all been there, we've all been beginning flute students. Let me tell you about myself. When I first started playing the flute and I couldn't get the high notes, I would pull back on my embouchure and I would smile and I would pinch my lips as tight as possible, and it was really ironic because I don't think any air could come in or out, so I don't even know how I got some of those high notes. But as I got older, I realized that is not what you want to do. It's actually the opposite. So let me tell you a quick tip. If you want to be a good flute player, one of the #1 best qualities you can have is to be flexible. And what that means is you want to be flexible in the lips. And a lot of students think that they can have their embouchure be like stone and it doesn't move up or down or anything, and they think that they can get all the notes by just having the same embouchure, and that's not true. You actually need to be flexible in the lips. Okay, so things that help me get the high notes, I think about pushing my lips forward, and that helps to angle the air. So in terms of the high notes, you want to think about the air. Let's say you're eating a bowl of soup and it's really, really hot and you're going to burn your tongue. So what do? You blow really fast, cold air so that you can eat it. So it's kind of the same thing when you're playing your flute and you want to get those high notes. I want you to think about speeding up the air, thinking about that cold air and letting those high notes resonate and making a beautiful sound. So this week, it might be a good idea when you're practicing your low and your high notes, look in the mirror and see what you're doing to achieve that sound so that you can improve your tone quality. A couple troubleshooting tips that I want you to also watch for when you're practicing. Make sure your head joint isn't rolled in too much. Now I have a confession to make. When I was a beginning band student, in order to get the high notes, not only would I pull back and pinch, but I had another technique. And I would purposely roll my head joint in as far as I could. And that's how I would get my high notes. That's not what you want to do. You want to make sure that your head joint is aligned properly with your flute. You can ask your band director or your teacher about that. And that's the best way to get your high notes, okay? The other troubleshooting thing I want you to watch for is maybe your bottom lip is covering too much of the head joint. So let's say your flute is aligned properly, but your bottom lip is coming so far out, it's covering either half or to 3/4 of the whole. And I see that a lot with students, and you don't want to do that. When I play the flute, just for your information, I cover about, I don't know if you can see that, but about 1/3. 1/3 of the head joint is what I cover with my bottom lip. So watch out for that. And then the last thing I want you to watch for is maybe your flute, again, is aligned properly, but your head is held down too much. Okay, that's going to be a problem with getting, again, both your low and your high notes. Thanks again for joining me. I hope that helps you with your low and your high notes. Remember, don't get frustrated, just keep practicing, you can do it. And in the next couple months, keep an eye out because I'm going to be posting some more online exercises to help you get a beautiful sound in the high register. So look out for that. And most of all, remember, music isn't music unless you're having fun. See you soon.